The latest episode of The Bad Batch left us with a mysterious cliffhanger, as it was revealed that rather than just attempting to collect an open bounty, it appeared that Fennec Shand was hired directly by someone to capture Omega. This begs the timeless question. Who? Who hired her? Well, aside from the Kaminoans, I can't really think of anyone else except for one Emperor Palpatine. Allow me to explain. Firstly, it would be quite underwhelming to learn that Fennec was merely hired by the Kaminoans. We already know that they value Omega as an asset. It wouldn't exactly be a shocking revelation worthy of a cliffhanger now, would it? I feel that if it were simply the Kaminoans, it would have been revealed to us at the conclusion of Episode 4. No, I think it's possible that the person who hired Fennec has other, more sinister plans for Omega. Although her specific mutation has yet to be disclosed, I believe she is on some level Force sensitive. It would explain her impeccable luck that she's exhibited on several occasions, such as disarming Crosshair with her very first attempt at shooting a blaster. I believe that Palpatine secretly contacted the Kaminoans and instructed them to create a being that was attuned to the Force. This is no simple feat, by the way. It is nigh impossible to actually clone someone who is Force sensitive, at least such that the resulting clone is also Force sensitive. But if the Kaminoans managed to do it on some level, then that would make Omega highly valuable to Emperor Palpatine. This ties into his eventual plans to clone himself and transplant his essence into the new body so that he can never die. Perhaps Omega is a very, very, very early experiment in that vein. Maybe she is a mixture between the Jango Fett genome and Palpatine's own genes. This is admittedly a bit weird, but hey, stranger things have happened, right?
Ray who? Ray Skywalker.
No! God!
Now, I know what you're thinking. If it is Palpatine, wouldn't he have simply directed Tarkin to take the girl into custody? Well, not necessarily. He kept his efforts to become immortal secret from even Darth Vader, and as we've seen so far, the Empire has displayed little to no interest in using the defective clones. Hell, it doesn't even appear that Tarkin is aware that Omega is a defective clone. So it appears to be that the Empire isn't interested or even aware of Omega, and I think Palpatine wants to keep it that way. Remember, barely anyone outside of Vader knows of the Emperor's true identity as a Sith Lord. If anyone learned that he was interested in acquiring a potentially Force-sensitive clone just weeks after he accused the Jedi of treason and then had them eliminated, it would look a bit suspicious. Therefore, it wouldn't be a surprise that Palpatine would want to keep Omega a secret from the rest of the Empire. Fennec Shand is an assassin. She is not a part of the Empire. She has no aspirations of power or overthrowing the Emperor, and she may not even know exactly who it is that she's working for. There's essentially zero risk in hiring her to bring in Omega. Contrast this with using Darth Vader, for example. Without a doubt, Palpatine could have ordered Vader to hunt down the Bad Batch and bring Omega to him alive, but that would have raised suspicions in his Sith apprentice, as he would have easily been able to detect the Force sensitivity in the young girl and might have been able to presume what Palpatine was up to. No, Palpatine wants his quest for immortality to remain secret, and using Fennec is the best way to make that happen. From an out-of-universe perspective, this route also makes sense. Lucasfilm is going to attempt to make Palpatine's return in The Rise of Skywalker make as much sense as possible, seeing that when it happened back in 2019, it made next to no sense.
Look what you have made.
And I'm definitely not saying that I like this personally. I'd rather them just ignore it so that we can all move on, but I do think that's what they've been trying to not so subtly do. We've seen this in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, and even in the Darth Vader comic series where Palpatine shows Exegol to Vader. My guess is that he will ultimately fail to capture Omega, which is why we see his loyalists attempting to capture Grogu later on in The Mandalorian, as they seek to instead use Grogu to try to bring Palpatine back from the dead. Or perhaps Omega is captured and Palpatine learns that he needs someone stronger in the Force to effectively sustain his essence, which leads him to directing his followers to find a suitable specimen, which ends up being Grogu. that could also be very feasible. So just how plausible is this theory? Is Palpatine actually the one that hired Fennec Shand? Well, I still think it's more likely that the Kaminoans hired Fennec, even if the episode made it seem so much more mysterious than that. Perhaps it's just a storytelling mistake on the Bad Batch's part. Perhaps the show is underestimating the intelligence of its viewers. Or maybe the Kaminoans turned to someone they're familiar with in young Boba Fett, leader of the Bounty Hunters Guild Crate's Claw, who dispatched Fennec to track Omega down. That is also possible. But on the off chance that it isn't the Kaminoans who hired Fennec Shand, my money is on Palpatine. So let me know what you think of this theory down below in the comments. Do you think it holds any water, or do you think it's whack? Thank you so much for watching, folks. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for all things Star Wars. I'm Zach, and I'll see you in the future.